Over the past 7 months, I've closely studied and analyzed 7 of the biggest companies in this entire world to see what they had in common and to see if I could apply any of those characteristics to my own business to grow. And I learned something incredibly valuable that no one has ever talked about on this internet. You see, upon studying and reading dozens of financial statements, letters to shareholders, and different reports from different interviews with different CEOs, including companies like Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, Apple, Tesla, Rolex, and Nvidia, I realized they all had one thing in common. And you see, it's not what you think. Because it wasn't sales, it wasn't the ability to sell something, it wasn't marketing, it wasn't their ability to persuade, it wasn't even how good their team was, it wasn't even the size of their company. None of those things were the thing that they had in common. None of those things were the reason that were why they were successful. You see, some of the biggest companies in the world that I just mentioned do something that most other companies do not. And this is what separates them from all their competitors. See, they've built a competitive moat around their entire business that allows nobody to creep in. Because if you have a moat around your business, the bigger you make that moat, the harder it is for the competitors to try and attack you. Because they'll die trying to come in. And this is what these biggest companies have done, and they've made themselves a monopoly so nobody can compete with them. But we must go back to the question of how did they get to this point? How did they make themselves a monopoly? How did they make themselves 7 of the biggest companies in the world? And so that's what I'm going to share with you, because the answer might truly shock you, and it will change the way that you do business and view your perspective on how to scale and grow a company. Because think about it. Is it truly possible to sell to billions and billions and billions of people every single day by yourself? Just you and your company? Is that truly possible? Well, I would argue the answer is no. And well, the facts agree with me. You see, because these 7 biggest companies didn't really sell themselves. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it for a second. When was the last time that you saw an ad for Rolex, or for Tesla, or for Meta, or for Google? Perhaps maybe you have, but most of you cannot recall. Why is that? Let me ask you a different question. When was the last time you heard about these companies like Amazon, or Alphabet, right, which is Google, or Meta, or Tesla? How often do you hear about them? Well, quite often, right? So how is this possible? How a company that doesn't spend every single waking second trying to market and sell, how are they still constantly being talked about? And you see, this is the reason why these companies are trillion-dollar companies. It's because they did something so unique. And they did something so genius that I think I might become a millionaire from it. Now, some may laugh at me when I say that, but I truly, if you can understand this concept, you will too. And that's that these companies made a product so good that their consumers started to sell it for them. You see, instead of them going out there trying to sell the product to everybody, which is hard to do because it's biased, because they're the owners of the product. Of course they want to sell to everybody, right? But it makes you less likely to want to buy because you know you're being sold to. What they did is they made a product so incredibly good that people would go out of their way to promote and sell it to their own people. How fascinating is that the product is so good that people will sell it for them? Think about iPhone. Everybody has an iPhone. Why is that? Because everybody talks about it. Everybody started to get an iPhone, and guess what? Your first experience with the iPhone was so good that you had to buy more, and you told all your friends to buy them, and you told your mom, you gotta get an iPhone. And bro, you gotta get an iPhone too. Soon enough, all everybody was talked about was iPhone. How good the iPhone is. Think about that. You, my friend, are the reason why Apple is rich. You, my friend, are the reason why Amazon is rich. You, my friend, are not the reason why Rolex is rich. Because you're... Just kidding, I'm not going to say it. Because I myself went in the same bucket. But you see, the biggest emphasis they had is how could we make the product so good that the customer would be so pleased that they would go out of their way to tell people about it. Let me give you the story. Amazon is one of my favorite companies of all time. Now, why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because a long time ago, I had a product that came in and it took a couple months to ship, which is unlike Amazon, right? Amazon is known for their fast 2-day shipping. That's a whole different story. As a matter of fact, did you know Amazon loses money on their 2-day shipping? Amazon loses money on their 2-day shipping, right? On their free shipping with Prime. That's quick. However, People may be like, well, why would they do it if they lose money? Well, I'll tell you why. The average non-Prime member spends $600 per year on Amazon. The average Prime member spends $1,400. The average Prime member spends over double on Amazon throughout the course of 365 days because they have the Prime and they feel obligated to leverage and use that because they pay for it. But yet Amazon loses a bit of money from the shipping. But they doubled the value of their customer. They doubled the amount of money their customer spent. So let me ask you this. Would you double the value of your customer for a short-term little bit of sacrifice on the front end? I sure would. But let's get back to the story. Okay, about Amazon. Because a long time ago, I had a product that took about 3 months to get in. And when it got in, it was broken. And I was devastated. And so I was so furious. I was infuriated. I was so pissed. I was like, why? How could this happen? And so I called Amazon. And I was like, hey, my product took 3 months to get in. And it's broken. The lady said, oh my goodness. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. So we don't even need you to send it back. Here's what we're going to do. All I need you to do is tell me which product from what manufacturer. We will contact them and get them to issue you a refund and or send you a new product. Which one would you like? Would you want a refund or do you want a new product? So, I'll get a refund because I'll just order from somebody else. No worries. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to send out a request from them. They have to fulfill that. But if they don't fulfill it within the next 48 hours, you call me back and I'll refund you from our own thing. Because Amazon has a policy that we make sure that all our customers are taken care of. And I sat there on the phone in utter disbelief. As a matter of fact, I went on to have a 30-minute conversation with this lady. A 30-minute conversation with this lady about life. About life. I kid you not, me and her sat there talking about different customer experiences, how long she's worked at Amazon for, where she lives, where she wants to go on vacation, and like everything about her kids, her family. We started to have a conversation. Why? Because I felt cared about. And so when I felt cared about, I cared about her. We had an amazing conversation. And it was the best experience I've ever had with any single company. As a matter of fact, right now, I am the epitome of why Amazon is as big as it is. Because I'm sitting here telling you a story about how good Amazon is. I'm selling for them. This is a testament to how these companies got so big. This is a testament to people will sell your product for you if you do a good enough job. Amazon went above and beyond to deliver an absolutely exceptional service for me. And for the rest of my life, I will talk about that. And I will sit here and testify that they have the best company in the world because of that exact experience that I had. I have spent, heck, at this point, probably over $20,000 on Amazon within the past couple of years. As a matter of fact, I will literally buy something on Amazon knowing that it's more expensive than another place. I will literally buy something on Amazon knowing that I could buy it in my local store here. Why? Because I trust Amazon. Because I trust it and it's worked time and time and time again, so I will go there every single day. You see, when shit hits the fan, you go to what you rely on. And so when you need something, you go to where you rely, right? You go and hang out with the friends that you rely on. You go to the person that you know has your back. And that's how I feel with Amazon. So let's flip the script. How can you make a product that's so good that your customers will sit here making an hour-long or 10-minute-long YouTube video talking about how good it is for you? Well, it starts with something that we call customer obsession, which is another one of the biggest factors and commonalities that these trillion-dollar companies had with themselves, with each other, is they had obsession over the customer, not the product, the customer. They obsessed over giving the customer the best possible experience that they could, and as a result, their product got better. You see, if Jeff Bezos only cared about the product, he would just think about how can we make Amazon faster and faster and faster. But sometimes it's not about being faster. Sometimes it's about being better and tailoring to the customer. And so Jeff Bezos realized that despite the fact that giving me a refund will lose them money. Think about this. Them giving me the refund lost them money. But because of that, I've gone on to spend over tens of thousands of dollars on Amazon because of how amazing that experience was. So let me ask you, would you be okay losing a bit of money in return for the long-term gain and appreciation and trust and loyalness of a customer? The thing is, most of you will say yes, but you do know. You say you would, but you wouldn't actually do it. You see, one of the ways you could do this in your business, and I've realized I could too, is eating my customers' complexity. Let's say right now, if you own a typical business, a service-based business, and you understand that, oh, well, my clients don't get good results because they don't call leads fast enough, or my clients can't get results because of X. You see, if you have the Amazon mindset, you would go, how could we fix X? But if you have a normal mindset of a non-trillion-dollar company, you'd ask, how could I do less? Or how could I get the customer to do this? How could I get my client to start doing this? You see, we gotta flip the switch to how can we eat the complexity? How can we as the company make lives easier for our customer and add less friction? Think about Amazon. The shipping loses them money. Loses them money. Free shipping, quick shipping loses them money. But they now have set the standard around the globe that people want their package like this. And so you literally don't want to go and buy somewhere else because the shipping takes so long. Think about that for a second. You don't want to go anywhere else because the shipping takes too long. And so you buy from Amazon because you know the shipping will be fast. Here's the thing. Nobody can copy Amazon because most companies rely on the shipping to actually make them money. The shipping, if you didn't already know this, as I was someone who owned a dropshipping store, the shipping you make a lot of money off of. Shipping isn't truly that expensive depending on where you're shipping from. You can actually make a lot of money off shipping, and a lot of these companies do. So what they do is they price their products really low, but just have a really high shipping. So you think, oh, the product is low, but then the shipping's really high. And you're like, I'll do it because the shipping's low, or because the product's low, so I can afford to pay higher shipping. That's where they make the money, right? But Jeff Bezos said, fuck that. I want to make shipping so cheap. As a matter of fact, he's made it free for almost every single product or service, even as a free member, not even as a Prime member, that people will only want to come and buy from me. Talk about building a competitive moat again, right? Look, if you don't know what this is, look up a moat. M-O-A-T, I believe. And then look up competitive moat. And it's basically building a barrier between you and your competition so big that it's hard for them to compete with you. And that's what Amazon has done. He has made it almost impossible for any company in this world to try and compete with him. As a matter of fact, Amazon grows exponentially day by day by day, while these other companies slowly start to decline. Because of the competitive moat Amazon has made, because Jeff Bezos has been so customer obsessed. And this doesn't just go for Amazon. Wow, this is the most prominent one to me, but this goes across the globe. Like Google, right? Like Meta, like Apple. Think about Apple. Think about how good their product is. How satisfied are you with your MacBook, your iPad, your AirPods, your iPhone? I'll tell you this, I am absolutely pleased. Way better than any other product I've ever experienced. Way better. Why? Because they put an emphasis on making the product so good, making the customer so pleased that the customer would sell for them. And imagine a world in which you had customers selling for you. Imagine if all of your customers right now actively went out there and talked about your product or service and referred it to other people because they felt an indebtedness to you because you did such a good job that they almost feel that they're doing a good thing selling somebody your product. When I tell somebody to buy from Amazon, I feel that I'm doing a good thing because Amazon's truly amazing. And so when I tell somebody to use it, I feel good because I know that Amazon's good and I'm telling them to use something good. So it makes me feel good. So now I also feel good doing it. Look at Rolex. When was the last time you saw a Rolex advertisement? Now granted, Rolex is a totally different business model than these other companies we've talked about here, but the same concept. Right? It's self-status, so it's totally different. But think about it for a second. People talk about Rolex all the time as being amazing, as being super high quality, beautiful, this, that, etc. They have people actively selling for them every single day. When you wear a Rolex, you're selling it for them. When you talk about it, me talking about it right now, I'm selling Rolex for them. I'm planting the subconscious thought in your mind that, hey, Rolex is a good thing to buy. By just talking about it, because they've done a good job. I'm not sitting here talking about some random Geox, I don't know, some random watch company. Right? We can sit here and talk about AP, Omega, and all these other companies as well. But the point is, you got to make your product so good that people will sit there and just talk about it. Sit there and make YouTube videos about it. Sit there and share with their friends and family because they're so pleased with how amazing it is. So, the lesson, the actionable that I want you to take away and implement into your business is that one of the biggest things that all of these $7 trillion or these $1 trillion businesses had in common is they were obsessed with their customer. They were obsessed with delivering the best possible experience in any way, shape, or form. And we all know that it's cheaper to keep a current customer than it is to acquire a new one. We all know that it's easier to sell to a current customer than it is to a new customer. We all know that we can extract more money from a current customer than we can from a new customer. So why don't we focus on giving our current customers the best possible product and result that they could ever have, so they will be so pleased they will continue to buy and continue to refer you to people for their life as long as they live. That's what you need to try and do, is make your product exceptional. Not just good, not just great, exceptional. You see, the iPhone isn't just good. Amazon, their shipping policy isn't just great. It's exceptional. It's above and beyond. Bezos has gone above and beyond to set the standard for what shipping and online shopping should be. That's what you need to be in your industry. How can you set that standard so freaking high that when people look at any other company, they go, damn, they're nowhere near as good? Think of any other phone company. I dare you. Think of any other competition to these companies. Who's competing with Amazon? I don't know, because they're irrelevant, because they cannot compete. Who's competing with Apple? I don't know, because they're irrelevant, because they cannot compete. Because Apple has done such a good job going above and beyond. And so that's what I urge you to start thinking and doing as well. Because that's what separates these companies from the mediocre companies, is their ability to be obsessed with the customer and deliver the most exceptional experience you could possibly imagine. So, focus on your customer. How can you make their experience better? How can you make it so good that they would want to sell your product for you? And that's what I learned after studying 7 of the biggest businesses over the past few months.